Sati, awaken to the present.
And a very warm welcome. You're joining us on Sati as we discuss mindfulness as a way of life, mindfulness to face daily challenges, mindfulness to keep calm and to be aware of our surroundings as everything around changes, as we face the impermanence of life and the being. I've invited to join us on Sati this week as well. We have the Venerable Gotami Manu, whose story we heard during a previous episode of Sati. Venerable Gotami, at a young age, as 27 years, has traveled from Italy through China to India and Sri Lanka to learn the Dhamma and to preach and help many others. Venerable Gotami, most respectfully, I welcome you to our program today as well. As we talk about mindfulness, I think I like to start where we stopped last time, the mind and pain. What is the phenomenon of the mind as you understand? What is this mind doing to us? Why is the mind at such a focal and central point of discussion, not just in Buddhist philosophy, but even if we talk about other spiritual philosophies and practices?
The mind is, as you have already said, definitely one of the most curious phenomena that we see and we feel every day. You see, all the religions, all the philosophies, every kind of tradition is speaking about what the mind is and how we control it, etc. So in some religions, for example, when we talk about pain, they tell the believers, for example, to stop the pain, believing in something or behaving in a certain way, etc. But what I think that is great about Buddhism is that the Buddha has told us about it in very detail, what the mind is and how they arise and how the different kind of thoughts that we have and how we can defeat them, how we can control them. So when we talk about pain, I definitely think that is one of the normal part of everyday's life in every human, and there is nothing to deny about that or something to feel ashamed about. So being happy is just as dignitous as being angry or being sad. So when we talk about Buddhism, then the Buddha has told us how to live in a certain way that will lead us to be in peace with our own mind. So we have talked about pain, and pain, as we have already discussed at previous time, it is something which is really normal, and it's not a taboo in Buddhism. That's what I found very interesting when I just got in contact with Buddhism. Because there is a tendency from everyone in general, they don't want to talk about pain and they try to avoid it. And sometimes the more we avoid it, the more it becomes like a taboo, and people don't want to discuss about that, and they feel even ashamed. I see people in our community, they just feel ashamed that they are in pain. It's like they have to show at all costs that they are happy, even though they are not. And that is sad because it happens even among Buddhists, where the pain and the suffering, the death and whatever unpleasant topic should be just a normality, because it is so according to our religion, right? So that is how I regard the pain. It's not just more or less than happiness or any other feeling. It's just a part of our mind. It is a result of our thoughts, our actions, and our speech.
But what is really the correlation between the mind and pain? We keep saying it's all about how you feel, or it's all about your mind.
So when we talk about pain, when actually the mind itself is a non-self. When we regard at our own mind, it's just like we are viewers and we are watching the mind, and it's just like a monkey that is playing there and then doing several things. So I feel like most of the time, people identify themselves in their own thoughts, and they think if they have sad thoughts, then they think that they are sad people, and they live like that, and they convince themselves that they are this and that kind of person, this and that kind of personality, etc. But when I see the mind, it's just the mind does whatever they want, especially if it's not tamed, just like a monkey. Then it hurts us and it makes you feel like that or like this. But when we look at it, we should actually analyze our thoughts, but not identifying in them. And what lots of people do is that when they have a sad thought, they identify in their thoughts, and they think they are sad. They will be always sad, and they will be always negative, etc., or anxious thoughts. Some people just fall into a spiral, and then they continue getting anxious and sad, etc.
You said earlier when we spoke that the mind wants pain naturally. What is this about? I'm curious to find out.
Yes, of course, sometimes the mind is so, especially when we don't have a good guide, a good teacher, like we don't follow the good teachings as of the Buddha or any other teacher that is near us. Of course, our mind is always thinking some unpleasant things or inappropriate things, then it hurts us. Then it is up to us to change the way that we think, the thoughts that we have, etc. So I believe that the Buddhist teaching itself, it is a long life training. This is how I see it and how I felt about myself as well, because I saw that through the Buddhist teachings, how I may have changed my thoughts from negative thoughts that I had when I was younger, and now that I am improving. Well, how? By following the Buddhist teachings. In general, I would say that the mind is like a child. So if we feed the child with good food, good thoughts, good education, etc., then mind is going to be, it's going to a good direction. But if we feed our mind with immoral thoughts, immoral actions, unpleasant feelings, etc., it's going to be going to that way. But most people are like that. Most people actually intentionally or unintentionally keep feeding their mind in that way.
I'd like to take our attention to the modern day youth, young people, whether they're teenagers or whether they're in their early 20s. They face a number of challenges, Venerable, and these challenges, some don't know how to face, some don't know the answers to their problems. But today when we look back at those, we might feel those are temporary. But if I were in the same situation, I wouldn't understand how to solve those. But you are just 27 years too. I'm sure you can relate to these problems as well. How would you really approach addressing these concerns that our teenagers and the youth have?
So the first thing that I think that the society should do is to train their own children in a certain way that leads them to wholesome actions and wholesome thoughts. But if we see, for example, let's say someone like me who was not born as a Buddhist, then I needed some time to train my mind in a certain way that it was going in accordance with the Buddhist teachings. But most time, what I saw not only in this country, in every country in the world, even Buddhist countries, sometimes the parents itself, they don't spend enough time in teaching and educating their own children in a good Buddhist way. Actually, I think that a lot of things that are happening in the society, unpleasant things, violence, abuse, ragging, murders, and so many bad things that are going on in the society. How they are happening? Because the children, the women and the men are not trained in a certain way since they are young. So I think that lots of things are happening. Our children, our youngsters are feeling so empty inside. They feel that they have a gap inside. That is normal actually for everyone, because everyone is seeking their own life objective. That is absolutely normal. But instead of filling that gap in a wholesome way, let's say by helping people, by practicing their religion, whatever religion it is, it doesn't really matter at this point, or filling anyway the emptiness in a wholesome way, nowadays they are filling it with other negative things.
Is this emptiness felt because of lack of love at a young age, or is it because even as young people now, more than before, you have a lot of distractions from mobile phones to the internet?
Of course, let's say that there is a general thing that people in general, without an objective, without a mission, they feel empty. That's why you see there are so many philosophies, so many discoveries, so many religions, etc. Because the people itself, they are always seeking for something, may it be philosophical, religious, or societal, whatever. But let's say in this way, nowadays, as you have already mentioned, children and youngsters have other ways to fill that gap, and then we see social medias use it in a wrong way, not in a good way, because everything actually is neutral. Then it depends in the way that we use it. We can have everything is neutral, but if we use that in an unwholesome way, let's say we are using social media to connect with our family, it's good. But if we are using social media to do like ragging, abuse, insult, etc., then it becomes bad. Everything can be good or bad at the same time in according to your use. And of course, as you have already mentioned, there are some other like bad substances that are going around youngsters, and then these same youngsters are having bad friends, and they even with their own parents, they don't know how to discuss about their own feelings, etc. That's how I mentioned earlier. Actually, the presence of parents and religious institution is really important in order to bring up good kids, good people in our future. But there is a lacking, because lots of kids don't know how to relate with their own parents, and they cannot find religious figures they can relate in and they can discuss to and with openly.
So what can parents really do here? I know we're putting a major burden on parents also, but in a situation where they don't have access to religious leaders they can relate to, or where they don't find comfort in friends or family, how do you think parents can really approach this, Venerable Gotami? I ask you from a context where now we see young people, teenagers taking their own lives, and sometimes the problems, the reason for these might be bullying or criticism, or even feeling left out. So you resort to such a drastic outcome, or you resort to such a drastic act, but sometimes parents don't even suspect this, because the child might be interacting with the family and parents in a very normal manner, but suddenly resort to this difficult and shocking situation.
So I believe that if we want to completely remove the problem at the root, we had to start from a very young age to educate these children or these youngsters. It's very hard to change yourself when you are 15 or 20, but when you are still a small child, it is easy to mold that person, that child, in a good way. Even, let's say, in Buddhism, in the Sigalovada Sutta, the Buddha himself says that the main duty of the parents is to nourish and educate the children and take care of the moral and let's say material inheritance etc., etc. So we know that even if there are not Buddhist monks or Buddhist nuns around us, for example, if we are abroad, let's say people who are born Buddhist but they're not abroad, they still have, especially with nowadays internet, they have access to suttas and other good teachings that they can bring to their own children. And I think that the most important, as the Buddha himself said, one of the first things is they have to nourish their own children, not only with food or money or whatever, but as well with good moral ethic.
And for children who have these detrimental thoughts, how would you advise them to seek a spiritual solution?
First of all, instead of, let's say, let's not talk about spiritual advice or not, they should be able to have courage to speak to the people that are around them. Unfortunately, I would say that as a teenager, because I was a teenager too, and what I lacked in I would say my teenage, unfortunately, is that I couldn't, or I felt that the people around me, the adults around me, were not able to understand me. Now I'm not sure if they would be, because I didn't discuss with them. But the first thing that they have to do is trying to discuss with the adults around us. If parents are not, let's say, emotionally available, there are different situations in families, they still can talk with teachers, if at school, or if there are some Buddhist temples or any other religious place around, they may discuss with them too. Actually, this is how us youngsters always feel, that person, that adults will not understand us, etc. But actually we do, because we were, we were children too, we were teenagers too. So I can reassure the people, the youngsters, the young boys and girls that are watching us, that most of us will be able to understand them, and we are more than willing to help them in the different ways we can.
And then we come to the situation of relationships. We'll first talk about relationships between parents and children. Sometimes these are not the most comfortable, assuring relationships that we see in society between parents and children. Children don't feel comfortable to speak to the mother or the father, and the parents don't relate to the children. What does the Buddha preach here, or what guidance can you share with us on really shaping ourselves to relate to our parents, or the parents have more closer discussion and relationships with our children, so that we really discuss anything and find solutions to everything?
When we come to relationship or discussions or heart-to-heart talk between parents and children, I remind one of the sutta that is Majjhima Nikaya 16, where the Buddha talks to Rahula, his son, that has become a novice for a short time at those times, and then they discuss heart to heart very openly about what is the moral dignity, how a person should behave in society with the people, etc. For example, he taught Rahula that the person who lies is just as hollow as just empty water. Then how we should relate each other us with each other. He said the people that when we do anything, whether it's an action, a word, or a thought, whatever, we should look at ourselves into the mirror. So if we hurt someone and we pinch our face, it hurts. So we have to do the same thing. If that hurts us, we should not do that thing. We should not say that thing to other people. Then before we do that, how we feel. When we are doing that action, how we are feeling. After we do that action, what is the reaction, what is the outcome of that? So this is just an example. I think this is the way that parents should talk to their children. It means they should give them very practical examples whenever they are talking. You see, the Buddha has used the metaphor of water or the metaphor of the mirror to talk to his son. And in the same way, the parents should talk to the children in a relatable way. And I think that is really important, because sometimes our parents tend to talk to us in a very sophisticated way, let's say, and we don't really understand them. And at that time, okay. Anyway, if I tell my father or my mother about something, they just discard me and say something that I don't understand. So at those times, the children don't want to discuss with the parents anymore, because they are just annoyed, and it's what happens.
And also, parents are seen rude when they try to discipline the child. So is there some adjustment that is needed to meet the modern day children's expectation? Because sometimes when a parent tries to discipline and talk to a child or get angry, children may take it in a different way. But of course, the mother's or father's intention is to discipline the child, to bring the child in the right track. However, the children might see it as a very drastic measure.
When parents talk to their children, they should, while they keep clear the value and the moral that they are teaching about, they should, of course, look up at their behaviors, or let's say at their attitude, because in the earlier times, we know that parents used to be maybe a little bit more stronger to their children, or sometimes a little bit like physical, etc. And it is how it has happened in an earlier age. Let's say even in the 90s was like that too.
When you were born in 1999.
Yes. So that used to be like that, but times are changing. But I believe that what is wrong and what is right is never changing. It's always the same. The things that are good will always be good, and the things that are bad will always be bad. So the wholesome is not changing. It's just the way that we transmit this should be a little bit different. Nowadays, children, they dream to have a parent that is as well, as you say, as a friend, not only as a parent alone. So they should, just practicing more patience, because children have definitely more problem that they use the children of our times, or let's say many years ago they used to have. Really, like I just remember myself at 15 and how free we were at those times. We didn't have much to think, but now they have lots of responsibilities, strangely. So this has to be considered, and we should just try to behave in a way that is more maybe accessible, I would say, to the children.
Yeah. I know we've been talking about parent and children's relationships, but young people suffer because of relationships also. Whether it's their relationship with their school friends, teachers, or whether it's their relationships in love, because sometimes at a teenage as a teenager you feel like you have found the love of your life. And again, drastic measures, sufferings. We have been there, I have been there. I don't know about you during your late time, but those sufferings now, when we look back, we laugh at it. But you didn't laugh at it then. I mean, it was the worst time of our lives.
Yes, correctly. I believe that one of the reason of this is happening is absolutely because since many of us were little, we are not taught a healthy way to see love and relationship. That's how I feel. I believe that the best way that we can love someone, especially according to Buddhism, you see, when we chant the Metta Sutta, we say, just as a mother that loves her own single child. This is how we should love other people, not in an obsessive, jealous, crazy jealous way, because this is, unfortunately, nowadays, children, youngsters, they believe that their love is like they watch teledrama and all of these things, and they believe that is real love. Actually, that is just this is just a movie. This is just a drama. It's not real life. This should not be applied to real life. We saw some crazy things in TV nowadays, and the dramas that the youngsters watch online, etc. And then they believe that that kind of extreme things and extreme actions of love are real love, but it's not so. Buddhism actually tells us that love should be compassion, should be giving space, should be respecting each other individuality. It's not only about youngsters, means love, love between youngster or husband and wife, but even between parents and children. Nowadays, lots of parents thinks that, actually it has always been like that, not only nowadays. They think that the children are the extension of themselves. They don't regard that child as an individual. Every child has their own karma, has their own habits and some tendencies from this life and previous life and everything. So they have different dreams, different vision. But they expect that child to be in a certain way, to be just like a small figure of them. And then when it's not so, they suffer.
So is it the expectation that we have to alter at our end?
Yes.
Because we expect someone to be some way.
Yes, absolutely. You see, the children, for example, the mother or father wants the child to be a doctor or whatever, but maybe she wants or he wants to be something else according to their own tendencies. Maybe he or she wants to be a teacher, who knows. But then a lot of parents, a lot of relationship with the parents and children are destroyed because of those expectations. I believe that the duties of the parents, as the Buddha said, is to nourish and educate those children to live in a wholesome way in the future. But it's not saying that they should be, in a cage and they should live in a certain way. As long as they bring dignity to the family, we should be happy or whatever our children do. And at the same time, it happens between relationships. So all of these youngsters, one thing maybe, as we have said already, the social media and what they watch. At the same time, there is as well lots of toxicity. Like, for example, they think that love is possession because they see at home that the father is always controlling the mother, or vice versa. Not only the man controlling the women, but even women controlling the man, and they are just like mistreating each other, and then they believe that that is love. I want to say, according to what is happening in my country, there are lots of femicides in my country. I'm from Italy. It has one of the highest rates of femicides in Europe. It means that lots of women are being killed, and lots of them are killed because of jealousy.
Jealousy in relationships?
Yes. That is what is happening. People can search by themselves on the internet. They're being killed because of jealousy, possession. But then I don't think that the problem is only from the man itself. It's how they've been growing from the childhood, what they see at home. So if we want to change from the roots, how people are treating each other, it really starts from the family, from the very young age.
Venerable Gotami, you mentioned about jealousy. This takes us to the question of what are we jealous about. I think during our last conversation we spoke about the nothingness of our being. But I know it's very difficult for an individual to understand that this is all an illusion, or really, you're wanting to possess someone or to want to hold closer to you, and jealousy that emanates from that very desire. But how do we really practice to detach while also having healthy relationships? And what kind of a Buddhist teaching, Buddha's preachings can you share with us to understand that this jealousy about someone, and also to understand that there is nothing, that we are not even one whole person, or that we are not even present here. because we talk about the body, the soul, the body being a vessel for the soul, just in this samsara. But what really is your sort of like solution here to detach and to come away and to distance from jealousy?
That's a great point that you have said. You think if we are not even owning our own bodies, how can we expect to own other people? That's that's a really funny thing if we think so. We cannot even control our own body, and we will control others. That's very funny if we think so. I think that, of course, there is an ignorance in that. There is an ignorance in what is having or not having non-self. Lots of people don't understand about that. They think that they can grab everything, but they can't really do that. And they are so they are feeding themselves when they control that person or that situation, especially let's say about people, as we are talking about relationships, controlling what this person is doing and everything, whether it's their child or their parent, their partner. And they are feeding themselves with that lie that they are owning that person. And then when they see that it was just an illusion at those moments and everything is subjected to change, and when it changed, they are suffering. So I would say that instead of wasting time in controlling other people and feeding your own jealousy, you may use that time in a wholesome way to your practice, whether it is religious or let's say your own improvement, whether it is knowledge, not only religiously, but as well religious knowledge or any kind of knowledge. There are different ways you can use your own time. But lots of people are using their time by feeding themselves with lies. And they are watching things that make them feel that what they are believing is true, but it's not. And they are behaving in a way that makes them feel so, but it's not.
Is it our ego that wants temporary gratification, that makes us feel like we hold on to someone, we have someone? Is it the ego? Is it the mind? Maybe you can clarify whether both are one or different to the other. How do we really work to bring genuine intention, to work with compassion, kindness in any partnership?
I would say that when we dive into a relationship, don't go into a relationship, a friendship or whatever to find something that can satisfy you. Go there and try to find a kalyanamitta instead of a partner that satisfies because of her or his beauty or whatever. This is not going to last long, and it will not bring you any value to your life. Just momentary happiness and satisfaction, but at the end it's not taking you anywhere. But a good friend, I believe that if you have pure intentions and you approach a person with good intentions, then everything will be going well, and you can attract into your life, and you can choose a good person into your life. And then when we find a good kalyanamitta, it means someone that has our own same values, someone that just bring us peace in the sense that his behavior are a good example for us, not what is physical, but his or her mind, his or her faith, his or her good merits. Then when we find such kind of person, as the Buddha himself said, that a good friend is the whole of the holy life, and I believe so. So whether we surround ourselves with a good partner, a good friend, or a good teacher, it's going to be favorable for our life. But people are not looking for that. Actually, most people are looking for fun. They're not looking for a real, life's friend.
Do you think people understand that this, or are they doing this in ignorance when you're looking for a person for fun? And is it because of ignorance?
Yes, and as well, they feel that what they believe that kind of love, that kind of things is going to last forever, but it doesn't. And then maybe eventually at a certain age, at a certain stage, they actually understand it. Most people, I believe, got it with with a certain experience.
Sometimes we wonder why are we here. what is the purpose of our being? There's pain, and as we began the conversation, you said there's pain everywhere. You said we feel pain. The mind naturally identifies with it. Sometimes you have all the wealth, the luxuries, all that you desire you have, but how is it possible for pain to be a constant?
Well, we are now in this life for sure because we were not diligent enough. Otherwise, we would have seen Nibbana. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here if we were diligent enough. So I think that many of us have repeated the same mistake in many lives, I believe so, because it is a habit for many people that they keep being unsatisfied. That's just what we have mentioned last time. There are people who have very little, but they know self-contentment. They are happy with what they have. But at the same time, a lot of people are not happy, even if they have several things. So actually, I don't really believe that being satisfied is not about what you have or what you don't have, as we have said. Because a person, there are some people, they may have everything and they are happy with that. And it is a good quality of them if they know how to be content. But many people are seeking for more and more. They have these very bad habits of greed. They have a greed. So even if they have a good life, they have a good partner, good friends, and good amount of everything, they are looking for more and more, and then they destroy themselves because they just drown in their own desires. So a person, whatever kind of life that person decides to have, she or he should have a good sense of what is enough, but most of people don't have that. That's why they get into problem and they have several kinds like lust and greed and everything.
We don't have much time, but I think our audiences will really appreciate, Venerable Gotami, if you can leave us with a practice at home, because sometimes it's very difficult to start with when you say, watch your thoughts, to be mindful of your actions. It's difficult sometimes, but if you can show us today, before we leave, how we can really inculcate a daily practice that will take us to the ultimate goal of detaching from wanting to be jealous about something or someone, or to be detached from the desire to possess someone as your own or something as your own, and to realize this impermanence of life.
I believe that if we want to detach, let's say the physical detachment or mental detachment or sensual detachment from a person. So when we see the feeling that we're feeling towards that person, a good thing that we could do is to try to move that feeling change that feeling from lust to compassion, to metta, as we always say, because metta is a good feeling. It's a positive kind of love. It's not a toxic love. It's not an overwhelming love. It's just an innocent, I would say, an innocent kind of love. So first, what we should do, we can do every day metta meditation, metta bhavana. It's a very good practice that we can do, not only to change our thoughts from unwholesome towards people, toward the opposite gender. It has helped several people who had struggles with that kind of feelings. Practicing metta bhavana has helped them to change those feelings to positive feeling towards women or men. So when you have this jealousy, lust and everything, try to start seeing others and meditate toward metta bhavana and try to love people with that kind of compassion. It's not easy, it doesn't happen overnight, because unfortunately this society, and sometimes it depends from, let's say, the culture we belong to. For example, even in some conservative places in Italy, like lots of men regard women as an objective. That's why lots of femicides happen, etc. But if we spend maybe not only 2 minutes if possible, 5 minutes or more are possible, or every time an unwholesome feelings arises. And we can do that, it will be a great thing.
How do you think we start? I think I'm told we don't have much time, but I'd like to leave our audience with a simple guide that you can give us, whether it's for 2 or 5 minutes, how to focus on metta bhavana, metta meditation, or the meditation of loving kindness.
Yeah. So just try first to send love to yourself, first of all.
You have to talk it to yourself.
For example, just close your eyes and think, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be at peace, may I be at ease, all kind of positive things that come to your mind. And then you can spread that loving kindness to people that you know, people that you don't know, people that you have seen sometimes, people from your country, in your continent, the world, the universe, etc. You can slowly enlarge that range and just make them be and think that that person or that group that you're thinking about, and send good positive thoughts. Try to do that as well to the people that have hurt you, that have given you unwholesome feelings. And I always do that with our kids, and it has it was very helpful, and they have enjoyed that. I also love to do that, and we had very nice discussions after that, and I believe it has helped them.
What about when it's somebody who's really bothering you in your mind? How do you extend that loving kindness to that person?
That is the greatest challenge, the best challenge. That's a very nice challenge, I believe so. And it is okay to have some unwholesome feelings. We can accept it, we can analyze it, we can observe it. But slowly we can try to understand as well the other people's feeling. Sometimes we do need a lot of karuna, because we have to believe that sometimes people may behave in an unwholesome way, in an unpleasant way, because they have their own sufferings too. So when you feel that, you feel the other sufferings as yours, and then you cannot really get angry with them. Just feel that they may be struggling, but from your good thoughts and from your good behaviors, you can break that cycle, and then things can go for the best. But it's up to you, it starts from you.
I wanted to ask you, what's the purpose of doing all this, whether it's karuna, kindness, or a loving kindness of metta bhavana? The purpose, because one may ask us, what really is the purpose of all this? Very briefly, we have a minute.
So how beautiful the world will be if hatred stopped to be spread. Don't you think so? Lots of wars, lots of conflicts, lots of crimes, are based on hatred. So wouldn't it be a great thing if we can do our role, we can play our role in this society, in this world, to reduce that? I think it's a great mission that every human should take up their own.
Most respectfully, I would like to thank you, Venerable Gotami, for sharing your wisdom, your analysis through your learnings of the Buddhist philosophy, and of course your own experiences of life so far.
Thank you for having me.
We were in conversation with the Venerable Gotami, who has traveled to Sri Lanka after a time spent in China and a search for the Buddhist philosophy and the Buddha's teachings. While in Sri Lanka, we are able to speak to the Venerable Gotami on Sati, as we talk about mindfulness as a way of life, mindfulness to face daily challenges. Today we were talking about youth and how we maintain or face challenges, and a simple yet profound way to overcome the challenge of jealousy and the desire to possess. We'll see you again, once again, with Sati, with yet another discussion on a later date.
Sati, awaken to the present.